Hello everyone, it's great to see you again on my channel. Today we're going to talk about an incredibly interesting and important topic. 12 Stoic principles to help you perform at your best. Sounds a bit philosophical, doesn't it? But trust me, these tips are not just abstract theories. They will truly change how you see challenges, your work, and the goals you pursue every day. Let's pause for a moment and ask, have you ever felt like life is just a never-ending cycle? With pressure weighing on your shoulders, everything coming at you so fast that you don't know what to tackle first. Surely all of us have experienced that at least once. And that's exactly when Stoic philosophy becomes most powerful. Stoic philosophy is not an abstract concept. It reminds us to focus on what we can control and let go of what is beyond our reach. That's right, it sounds simple, but when you start applying it, you'll realize it's a huge shift in how you approach problems in work and life. In this video, I'll explore with you some very practical ways to apply ancient Stoic wisdom to our modern lives. We'll cover everything, from how to stay calm under pressure to how to turn failure into a springboard for success. The good news is, these principles are not complicated. You can start applying them today. Oh, and if this is your first time visiting the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video, so you won't miss out on timeless wisdom that can make your life easier, lighter, and more meaningful. All right, let's not keep you waiting any longer. Let's dive into the first principle. Focus on what you can control. This is one of the most important Stoic lessons I want to share. Focus on what you can truly control. It sounds simple, but really, this is a massive shift when you start applying it to your life. Think about it. How much time and energy do we waste every day worrying about things that are completely beyond our control? Other people's opinions, unexpected situations, or even the weather. Do you remember a time when you were affected by someone's complaint or felt frustrated when a project didn't go as planned? These feelings are so familiar that almost everyone has experienced them. But when you pause for a moment, you'll see. There are so many things you simply cannot control. The Stoics made this very clear thousands of years ago. We can only truly control 3 things: our thoughts, our actions, and our attitude. Everything else is beyond our control. You cannot force someone to like you. You cannot guarantee that you'll get promoted, or that everything will go according to plan. But you can absolutely control how you show up, the effort you put in, and your attitude when things don't go as you hoped. Imagine this. You're working on a big project at your company. You can control how well you prepare, how you collaborate with your teammates, and the energy you bring to the work. But what if the final result doesn't meet expectations? Maybe your boss doesn't like your report, or external factors like market changes affect the project. At this point, Stoic philosophy will remind you of something. Hey, your part is done. The rest is not up to you. Sounds pretty light, right? But that's the key to freeing yourself from the cycle of worry and pressure. When you learn to focus on what you can control, you free yourself from unnecessary stress over outcomes. In other words, Stoicism teaches us to clearly distinguish between what's inside and what's outside. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoics, put it very clearly. Some things are within our control, and others are not. When you truly understand this, it will completely change how you face challenges at work and in life. So there you have it. The first principle, focus on what you can control, is not just a nice saying, but a truly useful skill you can apply to every aspect of your life. In fact, the more time and energy you spend on things you can't control, the more you'll feel stressed, pressured, and disappointed. Just think about it. Haven't there been times when you felt drained simply because you were worrying about something you had no control over? But if you shift your focus to what's really in your hands, like your thoughts, actions, and how you handle situations, you'll naturally feel more in control and less weighed down by things beyond your reach. Stoic philosophy makes this very clear. Life can be divided into two parts. One is the internal, what you can control. The other is the external, what you cannot control. And the key to living a peaceful, strong life is this: spend your energy on the internal and let go of the external. Sounds easy, but putting it into practice is a whole different story. Let's take a practical example. Suppose you get some harsh feedback from your boss or a colleague. Your first reaction, naturally, might be to feel defensive or even feel like you've done something wrong. Who hasn't been there, right? But from a Stoic perspective, you can't control someone else's opinion, nor can you force them to change the way they speak or criticize. What you can really control is this: your reaction. You can get angry, let the criticism linger in your mind, and let it ruin your entire workday. Or you can pause, take a deep breath, assess whether the feedback is actually helpful or just noise passing by. When you choose to focus on your response, you stay calm, clear-headed, and avoid getting swept up in negative emotions. No matter how sharp the criticism, you stay in control of your mind. So how do you train this skill of focusing on what you can control? Let me share a few simple but highly effective ways. First, create a control checklist. Next time you feel overwhelmed, worried, or stressed, stop for a moment. Grab a pen and paper and write down what is within your control and what is not. When you see it clearly on paper, it becomes much easier to know where to direct your energy and what to let go of. Next, practice acceptance. If you encounter something beyond your control, like traffic, a last-minute change of plans, or a sudden rainstorm that ruins your picnic practice, accepting it without getting angry or resentful. Why? Because fighting reality only makes things worse. Another effective approach: change your perspective on challenges. Instead of seeing every difficulty as a disaster, ask yourself, what can I do about this situation right now? Just this small shift in questioning will make your mind clearer, more proactive, and much less stressed. Let me give you another practical example. Facing uncertainty. Who hasn't experienced moments of uncertainty? It could be during an economic downturn, when jobs are cut, or major events like a global pandemic. These shocks come unexpectedly and are often beyond anyone's control. But even in such situations, Stoicism shows us one path: focus on what you can do. Think back to when the pandemic broke out. So many things were out of your hands: lockdown orders, changes in jobs, health concerns. If you kept worrying about those things, you would have burned out without realizing it. But if you focused on what you could do, like taking care of your mental health, learning new skills, staying connected with friends and family, you would have felt stronger, more grounded, and less swept up in the chaos. Another important lesson: let go of perfectionism. Have you ever felt like you had to do everything perfectly, control every little detail to make sure things went exactly as you wanted? Surely we've all been there. But in reality, perfectionism only makes you more exhausted, because you're putting yourself in a position where you try to control things that honestly you simply cannot, like how others perceive your work, or ensuring the final outcome is flawless. Remember, Stoicism doesn't teach you to give up, but to let go of what you can't change, so you can put all your energy into what's truly yours to do. So, we've gone through practical ways to focus on what you can control, from how to respond to criticism, how to face uncertainty, to letting go of perfectionism. But here's the question. Once you know how to focus on what you control, how do you stay calm and balanced in the face of work pressures, challenges, and unexpected events? The Stoics would tell you this very clearly. Do your best, then let go. Because no matter how hard you try, there will always be things beyond your control, and the outcome won't always go as planned. It sounds simple, but in reality, we often get trapped in the perfectionism mindset. We think everything must be flawless, must go exactly as we planned. But when you dare to let go of the idea that everything must be perfect, you'll feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. Imagine you're preparing for an important presentation. Instead of worrying whether people will like your talk, focus on what you can control, how well you prepare, how you deliver the content, and the confidence you bring to the stage. Once you've done your best, let the rest unfold as it will. Whether others like it or not, that's beyond your control. You've done your best and that's enough. So, why does focusing on what you control help you grow every day? When you start shifting your focus to what's truly within your control, here's what happens. First, you'll reduce stress. By no longer wasting time and energy worrying about things you can't change, you'll develop a calmer, more focused mindset. Second, you'll increase your productivity. Because when you channel all your effort into what you can influence, you'll get more done, feel more confident, and stay motivated. Third, you'll build resilience. Life is full of challenges, but when you focus on your response rather than the problem, you'll become stronger, more adaptable, and ready to face unexpected obstacles. Fourth, and no less important, inner peace. When you let go of what you cannot control, you'll feel freer, lighter, and more at peace in your mind. And finally, the Stoics always remind us of one core truth. True strength lies in controlling yourself, your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude. Everything else, other people's reactions, final outcomes, or even major life events, belongs to the universe. Worrying about them won't change a thing. So, next time you feel stressed, pressured, or overwhelmed, ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, take a deep breath and let it go. If the answer is yes, focus on what you can do right now to keep moving forward. This mindset shift will help you feel more in control of your life, less stressed, and more at peace. no matter how much turbulence is happening around you. Now, let's move on to the second principle in applying Stoicism to life. Do your best in everything, but let go of the outcome. Sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Who doesn't want a good result? But the Stoics have a very different way of seeing things. They believe that in whatever you do, give it your all, but also understand that the final outcome is not always within your control. Let me explain why this is so important. What do we often get stressed about? It's the obsession with the result. Will the boss be happy? Will I get promoted? Will my social media post get lots of likes? Will people think I'm good? Will they think I'm cool? Think about it. How much of the daily pressure you feel comes from the fear that the result won't meet your expectations? When you pour all your energy into something you can't fully control, you're putting yourself into a spiral of worry and insecurity. Instead, do your best, prepare thoroughly, try your hardest, and give your full dedication to the task. But then, let the rest unfold as it will. Because here's the truth. No matter how skilled you are, no matter how hard you work, there will always be external factors that can affect the outcome. So, why let those things control your emotions and mindset? The Stoics, like Epictetus, made this point very clearly. You should only focus on what you can control: your effort, your preparation, and your attitude toward your work. The result? That depends on countless other factors. Other people's opinions, circumstances, timing, things entirely beyond your control. Once you truly understand this, you'll stop worrying so much about the final result and instead channel all your energy into giving your best effort. That's where true power lies. Stoics have an incredibly powerful approach: effort over outcome. They believe you should do everything with care and excellence, but also accept that the result is never guaranteed. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Simply put, the Stoic mindset is this: give 100% effort to whatever you are doing, but don't let your happiness or peace depend on whether you win or lose. You've done your part, and that's what truly matters. Imagine this. You're studying for a big exam, a milestone you've been preparing for over several months. You've studied hard, planned carefully, and feel ready to walk into the exam room. But then, on the day of the test, something unexpected happens. Maybe you didn't sleep well the night before, or the exam questions focus exactly on the topics you reviewed the least. You don't perform as well as you had hoped. In that situation, the Stoic response is this: accept it. You've done everything you could, and that is enough. The result is now beyond your control, and worrying about it won't help. So, how can you let go of the result while still giving your best? Here's the key. Letting go of the result doesn't mean you stop caring, stop trying, or let things fall apart. It simply means you focus more on the process and worry less about the final outcome. Here are a few practical ways to start practicing this. First, set process-based goals. Instead of only setting outcome-based goals, like "I want to get promoted" or "I want to reach 100,000 followers," set goals based on effort that you can control. For example, I will improve my skills every day, or I will post a video every week. This way, you measure success by what you're doing, not by results that are out of your control. Second, celebrate the effort, not just the outcome. If you've worked hard on something, reward yourself. Acknowledge your effort, even if the result isn't what you hoped for. Because sometimes the outcome doesn't reflect the value you put in. Third, learn to appreciate the process. Don't see failure as a judgment on who you are. Remember, even when you do everything right, the result may still not go your way. That's because outcomes often depend on factors beyond your control. Timing, others' decisions, or even luck. Don't let unexpected results discourage you or stop you from giving your best in future opportunities. Let me share a real-life example, a job interview. Imagine you're applying for your dream job. You prepare thoroughly, crafting an impressive resume, practicing for every possible interview question, and walking into the interview with maximum confidence. You've given it your all, but after a few days of waiting anxiously, you get the news that you weren't selected. In that moment, it's completely normal to feel disappointed. You might even start questioning your worth. What did I do wrong? Am I not good enough? But the Stoic approach is completely different. You can't control the hiring decision. You can only control your effort, your preparation, how you presented yourself in the interview. You did your best, and that's what truly matters. The fact that you weren't chosen might be due to reasons you'll never know. Maybe they had an internal candidate lined up, or someone else was a better fit for their needs at the time. And this does not diminish your value or the effort you put in. Remember this, you did your best. And that is what truly matters. When you let go of the outcome, you walk away from that situation with a feeling of, I did everything I could. Feels freeing, doesn't it? And that very feeling will help you stay strong for the next challenge, instead of being crushed by a rejection or failure that was never fully in your control. So, what are the benefits of letting go of the outcome? When you stop obsessing over the outcome, you'll start to notice a few important changes in how you feel and act. First, you'll feel less stressed and anxious. Instead of constantly asking, will I succeed? You'll shift your focus to what you can actually influence your effort, and that's the only thing you fully control. Second, you'll become more confident. When you know you've done your best, no matter the result, you can hold your head high and say, I gave it my all. That feeling is incredibly empowering, and it builds your confidence for future challenges. Third, your resilience will grow. When things don't go as planned, instead of getting crushed by a sense of failure, you'll find it easier to get back up, reflect, and keep moving forward, because you'll understand that the outcome isn't the only measure of your worth. Fourth, and just as important, you'll enjoy the process much more. When you're not weighed down by the pressure of achieving a perfect result, you'll start to find joy in the work itself. In each step, each moment, you'll feel truly engaged, rather than just chasing an invisible finish line. Now, let's talk about the fear of failure, because it's the root of much of the pressure we feel when chasing outcomes. Let's be honest. How many times have you been paralyzed by the fear of failure? Fear of making mistakes, fear of not meeting expectations, fear of being judged, fear of rejection. We fear failure so much that sometimes we don't even dare to start. But when you stop tying your self-worth to the outcome, you'll realize that failure isn't as scary as you thought. Failure is simply feedback. It shows you what's not working, so you can learn and do better next time. It's not the end of the road. Imagine this. You start a new business with great enthusiasm, but after a few months, it doesn't go as well as you'd hoped. Do you see it as a complete failure or as a valuable lesson? The Stoics would ask you, what did you learn from this experience? How can you use that to do better next time? When you shift your focus from the final outcome to your effort and the lessons learned, failure stops being a dead end. It becomes a stepping stone to something greater. In short, focus on effort, not the final result. The Stoics always remind us, success isn't just about reaching a specific milestone or achieving a goal. True success is about how you face yourself, how much effort you've put in, and what you've learned along the way. The final result, it's mostly beyond your control. So why worry about it? Next time you're working on something important, whether it's a big project, a relationship, or a personal goal, remember, give your full effort to the process, but don't let the outcome define your success or failure. Focus on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, your patience, and your determination. Let go of the rest, and you'll see the magic is this. When you stop stressing over the outcome, you'll not only feel freer and more at peace, but paradoxically, sometimes you'll end up getting even better results. Remember this, self-discipline is what keeps you moving forward, even when motivation fades. Because the truth is, motivation is not always there. You know, there are days when you wake up feeling fired up, ready to tackle everything and conquer the world. But there are also days when that feeling completely disappears, leaving you with laziness, fatigue, or simply not wanting to do anything at all. That's when self-discipline steps in and keeps you on track. What is self-discipline? It's doing what you need to do, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's not fun, even when you have zero motivation. Picture this. You want to start a fitness journey. At first, everything feels exciting and fresh. You're pumped up to get on the treadmill or lift those weights. But after a few weeks, that initial excitement starts to fade. Then, one morning, your alarm goes off at 6 a.m., it's raining outside, and all you want to do is stay cozy in bed. What will pull you out from under the covers and make you get up and work out? Self-discipline. It's that small voice in your head whispering, I made this commitment and I will stick to it. It's in those moments when you don't want to do it, but you do it anyway, that the magic happens. So, what does self-discipline mean in Stoic philosophy? The Stoics see self-discipline as a core principle of living. They believe that mastering yourself, your thoughts, actions, and emotions is the key to living a good life. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, once said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." What he meant is that true freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want, but from controlling yourself, not letting desires, fleeting emotions, or circumstances dictate your actions. In Stoicism, Self-discipline doesn't mean being harsh or strict with yourself. It's about staying committed to what truly matters, even when it's not easy. It's about showing up, doing the work you need to do, and maintaining consistency whether you feel motivated or not, whether you feel excited or not. So, how can you build self-discipline in your daily life? Remember that self-discipline is not something you wake up with one morning and magically have. It's like a muscle. You need to train it regularly, bit by bit, so it gets stronger over time. Here are some ways to start building self-discipline, even if you feel like you're not very strong in it yet. First, start small. Don't try to change everything at once, because that will overwhelm you and make it easier to give up. Pick one small thing to focus on first. For example, if you want to build a morning routine, don't force yourself to wake up an hour earlier from day one. Instead, try waking up just 15 minutes earlier and gradually increase from there. Next, build habits. Habits are your best friend when it comes to self-discipline. When you establish a habit, you don't have to spend time thinking about what to do next. It becomes a natural chain of actions. And the most important part, habits don't depend on feelings or motivation. You do it because it's part of your schedule, not because you feel like it today. Remove temptations. Make it easier for yourself to stay disciplined by reducing distractions. If you want to focus on work, turn off notifications on your phone. If you want to eat healthier, don't keep junk food at home. Set yourself up for success. Let your environment support you, not hold you back. Let me share a real-life example. Sticking to a workout plan. You start with a clear plan. Go to the gym 3 times a week. Eat healthy and feel super excited. The first week goes smoothly. The second week, you're still doing fine. But by the third week, work piles up. You feel tired after hours at the office. And suddenly, the couch and your favorite show seem much more tempting. You know that feeling, right? It's in that exact moment that self-discipline matters most. Self-discipline is showing up and doing what you committed to, even when you don't feel like it. It's getting up, putting on your workout clothes, and heading to the gym. It's the reminder, I made a promise to myself, and I will keep it. And when you push through that difficult moment, you'll feel the true power of discipline. It moves you forward, even when motivation is completely gone. We've explored self-discipline, a crucial foundation for staying consistent on any journey. Won't always feel excited, you won't always feel motivated, but with discipline, you keep going. And it's those small, repeated actions every day that lead to big results. It's the consistency over time that truly makes the difference. When you practice self-discipline, you'll notice so many great things start to happen. First, you'll boost your productivity. You're no longer waiting for inspiration to strike or for the perfect conditions to magically appear before you start. Instead, you get to work, no matter how you feel that day. And guess what? That's how you end up getting a lot more done. Second, you'll improve your self-control. The more you train discipline, the better you get at resisting distractions and overcoming daily temptations. Over time, you'll build a strong willpower, a kind of mental muscle that not everyone has. Third, you'll become more confident. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you're building trust in your own ability. That sense of following through on your word will naturally boost your self-confidence without needing anyone else's approval. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, you're building long-term success. Whether it's in your career, health, or personal growth, self-discipline is what helps you reach your goals. Because success doesn't happen overnight, it's the result of showing up day after day, even when it's hard. So, what do you do when you slip up? How do you handle setbacks without giving up? Let's be real. No one can maintain perfect discipline 100% of the time. There will be days when you miss a workout, eat that dessert you promised you wouldn't, or get sucked into social media instead of doing the important work. And that's completely normal. The key is this: don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. When you mess up, don't sit there beating yourself up, feeling guilty. Pause, realize you've strayed off track, learn from it, and get back on course as soon as possible. Think of self-discipline like driving a car. If you hit a pothole on the road, you don't stop, throw away the keys, and abandon the journey. You simply adjust the steering and keep going. Self-discipline is the same. It's not about being perfect, it's about staying consistent. One of the biggest enemies of self-discipline is procrastination. You know the feeling, right? You have something important to do, but instead of getting started, you scroll through Instagram, watch YouTube videos, or get caught up in everything, except the task you actually need to do. The Stoics would say, procrastination is simply your brain trying to avoid discomfort. And the more you let yourself give into it, the harder it becomes to get back to work. One really helpful tip for beating procrastination is the 5-minute rule. When you feel like you don't want to start, tell yourself, just do it for 5 minutes. Just start for 5 minutes. And you'll see, most of the time, the hardest part is simply getting started. Once you're in the flow, things feel much smoother and easier. So, don't sit around waiting for inspiration. Take action, and let self-discipline guide you. Finally, remember one important thing. Self-discipline is your superpower. Self-discipline is what separates successful people from the rest. It's not flashy or complicated. It's the skill that makes everything else possible. Whether you're trying to achieve a big goal, build a better habit, or simply stay consistent with small daily tasks, self-discipline is the foundation you can't do without. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. So, the next time you feel like skipping a workout, hitting snooze on your alarm, or putting off an important task, ask yourself, is this what I want for my life in the long run? Because at the end of the day, it's not about how you feel in the moment, it's about what you want to achieve in the long term. When you practice self-discipline every day, you're building the foundation for lasting success, continuous growth, and a freer life. And you know what? This brings us to another incredibly important part of Stoic philosophy: accepting and learning from failure. Let's be honest, no one likes to fail, right? But here's the truth. If you truly want to do your best in life, failure is an essential part of the journey, and not just something to accept. Failure is a vital, even necessary element for growth and learning. The Stoics believe that failure is one of life's greatest teachers. If you can accept it, learn from it, and keep moving forward, failure becomes a powerful force that pushes you to reach levels of success that simple victories could never bring. So why is failure the key to growth? Most of us are taught that failure is something to avoid a sign that we're not good enough, not worthy. But think about it. What if you changed that perspective? What if failure wasn't the end of the road, but just a step on the path to progress? When you fail at a project, a relationship, or a goal, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. It's just feedback. It's life's way of saying, here's where you didn't do well. Learn from this, adjust, and keep going. The Stoics don't fear failure because they understand it's simply a natural part of life. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Put simply, the thing that's blocking your path failure can actually become the path forward if you're willing to see it the right way. It's all about perspective. So how do you embrace failure the Stoic way? They teach that you cannot control whether or not you fail. Sometimes things simply don't go your way, no matter how hard you try. But what you can control and must control is how you respond to failure. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." So instead of blaming yourself, complaining or cursing fate when things don't go as expected, see failure as a tool for learning. Let's take a specific example. You're working hard to get a promotion. You've been diligent, constantly, putting in effort and pinning a lot of hope on it. But in the end, someone else is chosen. It's easy to feel disappointed, even embarrassed. But the Stoic approach is, what can I learn from this? Maybe there's a skill you need to improve. Maybe you realize you want to pursue a different path. Or maybe this setback opens a door you hadn't even considered before. The point is this: see failure as a stepping stone, not a dead end. So how do you learn from failure? Accepting failure is easier said than done, but it becomes much more manageable when you have a clear strategy. Here are a few practical ways to learn from failure instead of letting it hold you back. First, see failure as feedback. When something doesn't go as planned, instead of whining, "Why me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Failure isn't a verdict. It's valuable information you can use to adjust and improve yourself. Second, take responsibility. But don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge what you could have done better. If you neglected an important task, admit your mistake. But don't turn it into a personal attack. "I'm terrible, I can't do anything right." Remember, failure is an action, not your identity. It doesn't define who you are. It's just part of the story, a pause on the long road ahead. And once you train your mind this way, failure won't scare you. It becomes a companion, a silent teacher guiding you forward. Detach your self-worth from the result. Keep trying, but next time, try differently. The Stoics teach that persistence is essential, but so is adaptability. If you fail, don't just repeat the same approach. Instead, learn from what didn't work, adjust your strategy, and move forward with a fresh perspective. Let's take a real-life example: starting a business. Imagine you decide to launch your own business. You have a brilliant idea. You pour time, money, and effort into making it real. You start out full of hope and excitement. But then, things don't go as planned. The market responds slower than you expected, or you face unexpected challenges. It's easy to look at this and think, I've failed, but the Stoic perspective asks you to pause and look deeper. Instead of labeling it a total failure, ask, what can I learn from this experience? Maybe you need to adjust your marketing strategy or rethink how you're reaching your target customers. Maybe you need to learn more about cash flow management, or maybe you just need more time to refine the product before launching it. The key idea is failure isn't the end of your journey. It's just a part of it. By learning from what doesn't work, you get closer to what will. And as you begin to embrace failure as a natural part of growth, you'll start to notice some incredible things happen. First, you become more resilient. Every time you fail and get back up, you're building mental toughness. You learn that failure can't take you down. In fact, it makes you stronger. Second, you become more willing to take risks. When the fear of failure no longer holds you back, you'll start trying new things, taking bolder steps. You won't fear falling down anymore, because you understand that failure isn't something to dread. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. Third, you become better at your craft. Failure gives you feedback. Every time you stumble, you receive valuable information about what doesn't work and how you can improve. Over time, these lessons sharpen your skills, making you more effective and sharper. Fourth, you learn to let go of perfectionism. When you accept that failure is a natural part of life, you stop being obsessed with perfection. Instead, you focus on growth, progress, and doing your best even when the results aren't perfect. And just as important, remember that the fear of judgment is one of the biggest reasons people fear failure. Have you ever thought something like, what will people think if I fail? Will they think I'm not good enough? Will they see me as incapable? But the Stoics would remind you, you cannot control what others think. Marcus Aurelius said something worth reflecting on. It amazes me that we love ourselves more than other people, yet we care more about their opinions than our own. Think about it. Why do you worry about what others think when that's entirely out of your control? The truth is, most people are too busy with their own lives to pay much attention to your failures. And even if they do notice, so what? Their opinions don't change the fact that failure is a normal part of effort and growth. The sooner you let go of the fear of judgment, the more you can focus on learning, improving, and moving forward. Another thing to remember, overcome perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of the biggest barriers to embracing failure. When you're always trying to make everything flawless, failure becomes terrifying something to avoid at all costs. But in reality, perfectionism is what keeps you stuck. It makes you afraid to start, afraid to make mistakes, and as a result, afraid to move forward. So remember this, failure is not your enemy. It's a teacher, a signpost, if you know how to learn from it. You don't need to get everything right on the first try or even on any try. What you need to do is keep learning and improving. Imagine you're learning a new skill, like playing the guitar. You'll make mistakes, a lot of them. Sometimes you'll hit the wrong note, the rhythm will be off, or your fingers will hurt from practicing too much. But instead of feeling discouraged or giving up, remember, every mistake is a small step forward. Each wrong note isn't a failure. It's one step closer to playing the song perfectly. The Stoics want to remind us that failure is not something to avoid, but something to embrace, because failure teaches you the most valuable lessons. It helps you grow. It helps you learn to adapt. And most importantly, it makes you stronger. Every time you fail, you're not moving backward. You're actually moving a little closer to your goal. Because with every failure, you learn what doesn't work and get better at doing what does. So next time you face a failure, whether it's a failed project, an unsuccessful interview, or an unfinished goal, don't let it discourage you. Yourself. What can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to improve? Remember this. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey towards success. So embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. And now, as we've talked about failure, let's shift to another extremely important aspect, one that's often overlooked, focusing on the present moment. We often spend too much time worrying about what's coming or dwelling on the past, forgetting that the only thing we truly control is the present moment. The Stoics teach that the key to living a peaceful and effective life is to stay anchored in the present. You can't change the past. You can't predict or fully control the future. So why waste your energy on things beyond your reach? Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, once said, "Confine yourself to the present." It sounds simple, but if you really practice it, you'll feel its incredible power. Think about it. The past is over. You can't go back and change it. The future hasn't happened yet. And no matter how much you worry, you can't fully control it. All you truly have is this moment right here, right now. And when you learn to focus on the present, you'll stop the cycle of worrying about things that aren't yours to control. Whether it's regrets about the past or vague fears about the future, all of that fades when you return to this moment. Ask yourself, how much time have you spent sitting there, tense, anxious, imagining worst case scenarios that haven't happened, or beating yourself up over a past mistake you can't change? Isn't it exhausting? But when you learn to bring your attention back to the present, the moment you're breathing, the moment you're alive, you free yourself from that burden. You'll realize that the only time you can truly do something to change your life is right now, this very moment. So, pause for a second, relax your shoulders, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, I'm here now. What do I control? What's the best thing I can do right now? You know, the Stoics were practicing mindfulness long before it became a modern trend. They taught us to focus on what's happening right in front of us and not let our minds get pulled in a million directions. Epictetus once said something I think you'll like. People are not disturbed by events, but by their views of those events. This sounds simple, but if you really grasp it, it can change the way you see the world. What he meant is, most of the stress, worry, and pressure we feel doesn't come from the event itself, but from the way we think about it. For example, imagine you're feeling stressed about an important meeting tomorrow. In reality, the meeting hasn't happened yet. It's still in the future. But it's your thoughts about what might happen, whether your boss will ask tough questions, whether you'll answer well, whether your project will get approved, that's causing you to feel anxious. Meanwhile, right now, you might be sitting here, maybe holding a cup of coffee, or scrolling through your phone watching this video. The meeting hasn't happened yet, but your mind is already racing ahead, spinning out all kinds of what-if scenarios. So why let your mind get pulled into a future that doesn't even exist yet? It's easier said than done, of course. How do you actually practice living in the present, especially in a world full of distractions, where everything is competing for your attention? But don't worry. Like any skill, living in the present can be trained, and with enough practice, it will gradually become a habit. Here are a few practical ways to help you bring your attention back to the present moment. First, use your senses. One of the simplest ways to return to the present moment is to focus on what you're experiencing through your senses. Right now, pause and ask yourself, what do you see? The light coming through the window, the leaves swaying outside, or the screen in front of you? What do you hear? Birds singing, the rustling of the wind, or soft music playing in the background? What do you smell? Coffee, food, or the scent of a new book? What do you feel? The warmth of a cup in your hand, the softness of your chair, or the gentle breeze brushing against your skin? When you connect with your senses, you anchor yourself to the present. Your mind stops drifting to the past or the future. Second, take a deep breath. When you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or distracted, stop. Close your eyes if you want and take a slow, deep breath, in and out. Do this a few times. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. This simple practice can bring you back to the present moment and calm your mind. Third, do one thing at a time. In a world where multitasking is glorified, try going the opposite way. Focus on just one task at a time. Whether you're eating, working, or talking with someone, give your full attention to that activity. When you eat, just eat. When you work, just work. When you talk to someone, really listen to them. You'll be surprised at how much more focused you feel, how much less stressed you become, and how much fuller life feels. Let me share a real-life example. Managing stress at work. Imagine you're at the office, staring at a long to-do list. Deadlines are looming, your inbox is overflowing, your phone keeps ringing, and you feel like you're drowning in chaos. Your mind races. I have to finish this first, then that, and the meeting this afternoon. What if the project fails? The more you think, the more overwhelmed you feel. But try this. Pause. Take a deep breath. Bring your attention back to the present moment. Instead of trying to tackle everything at once, focus on just one task right in front of you. Finish it, then move on to the next. The Stoic approach is this. Focus on what you can do right now to move forward. You can't solve everything at once, but you can own this moment. And when you do that, you'll feel less stressed, you'll work more effectively, and you'll find peace in the midst of a fast-paced world. When you start to truly be present, you'll notice that things suddenly feel simpler and lighter. First, you'll reduce stress and anxiety. Most of the pressure in our minds doesn't come from what's actually happening right now, but from thoughts about the future or regrets from the past. When you stay in the present, you let go of those worries. You focus on what's real and what you can take action on right now. Second, you'll improve your focus and productivity. When you're fully present in your work, you focus better, you're more efficient. You're not distracted by what happened before or what might happen next. You're simply doing what needs to be done right here, right now. Third, you experience more joy. The present moment is where life actually happens. When you focus on the here and now, you begin to appreciate the little things like a fun conversation with friends, a delicious meal, or a peaceful walk under the afternoon sun. Fourth, you improve your relationships. When you're truly present with others, when you listen without distractions, when you're fully engaged in the conversation, people feel it. And that presence, no matter how small, makes a huge difference. It makes others feel seen, heard, and valued, and that deepens your connections. But it's easier said than done. One of the hardest parts of living in the present is letting go of the past and the future. Maybe you've made a mistake, and your mind keeps replaying that moment over and over, like a tape on repeat. Or maybe you're anxious about something, coming up a big meeting, a deadline, or an important decision. But the Stoics always remind us we can't change the past, and we can't predict the future. All we truly have is this moment. So why waste your energy on things beyond your control? Let's take an example. Imagine you're feeling stressed about a conversation you had last week. You might think, I wish I'd said something different. Or, if only I'd handled it better. But that moment is gone. You can't get it back. So instead of beating yourself up or replaying it in your mind, pause and ask yourself, what can I do right now? Maybe you need to apologize, clarify your opinion, or simply let it go and move on. Whatever the choice, your energy belongs in the present, not in the past. So how do you practice living in the present in everyday life? You don't have to wait until you're meditating or in a quiet space to do this. Living in the present is a skill you can practice all day long, no matter what you're doing. Whether you're washing dishes, working, or even just scrolling your phone, try bringing your attention back to what you're doing. Pay attention to the details, the feel of the water on your hands as you wash the dishes, the sound of your keyboard as you type, the taste of the food as you eat, and gently remind yourself, this moment is all I have. For example, the next time you're having a meal, instead of eating while scrolling your phone or thinking about your to-do list, focus fully on the food in front of you. What does it taste like? What is the texture like? How does this meal make you feel? Just that small shift can turn an ordinary moment into a meaningful experience. And when you're present, even in the little moments, you'll start to notice that life feels richer, more interesting, and more worth cherishing. To sum it up, the power of living in the present isn't just a theory, it's found in the simplest things. The present moment is all we truly have. It's where life happens, where you make choices, and where you find peace of mind. The Stoics taught that living in the present is the key to reducing stress, maintaining focus, and enjoying the small joys of daily life. When you focus on the present, you stop getting stuck in what has already happened or worrying about what might happen. You start living with more purpose, clarity, and fullness. So next time you notice yourself worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, pause, take a deep breath, look around, and ask yourself, what can I do right now? How can I make the most of where I am? Because when you learn to focus on the present, you'll realize that life becomes simpler, calmer, and much more meaningful. Let's be honest, how many times have you let other people's opinions influence your decisions? Maybe you hesitated to start a new hobby because you were afraid of being judged. Or maybe you wanted to speak up in a meeting but stayed quiet out of fear of criticism. The truth is, many of us let the opinions and thoughts of others control our actions. But Stoic philosophy has a completely different perspective. The Stoics believe you should focus on your own actions, your values, and your goals, letting go of the need for approval or validation from others. Because, according to the Stoics, worrying about what others think is truly a waste of energy simply because it's something completely outside your control. Think about it. How many times have you missed opportunities just because you were afraid of being judged? How many decisions have you delayed because you feared what others might say or think? Every time you let other people's opinions dictate your actions, you're handing over the control of your life. The Stoics remind us, the thoughts and judgments of others are not something you control. Marcus Aurelius once said something I think you'll find familiar. It amazes me that we love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. Isn't that true? We spend our lives worrying about what others think, forgetting that the most important thing is to become the best version of ourselves. So the lesson here is, the only thing you should care about is how you're living according to your own values and principles, not the gaze or opinions of anyone else. Stoic philosophy also reminds us, do what is right, no matter what. Epictetus once said something very direct. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. It sounds a bit harsh, but think about it. If you want to grow, to evolve and to live a meaningful life, you have to accept the reality that there will always be people who don't understand or agree with you. And that's perfectly okay. Their opinions don't define your worth, nor do they define the value of what you're doing. Imagine you're trying to improve your health. You start going to the gym regularly, eating healthy, and working hard to maintain a positive lifestyle. But then, your friends start teasing you. Why bother? You're just going to quit halfway anyway. If you let those comments affect you, you might quit just to avoid being judged. But the Stoic approach is, stay committed to your goal, because what matters isn't what they think, it's your progress. So, how do you stop worrying about other people's opinions? Letting go of the need for approval isn't easy, especially in a world where social media constantly puts others' opinions front and center. But you can absolutely train yourself to focus on your own actions instead of getting caught up in what others might think. Simple way to start is by reminding yourself what is in your control. Other people's opinions, out of your control. Your actions, completely in your control. When you feel the urge to seek validation, pause and ask yourself, what is most important right now? Am I doing what is right according to my values? If the answer is yes, then keep going. Remember, you can't please everyone, and you don't have to. What you need is to stay true to yourself, to your values, principles, and goals. And when you do that, you'll realize that true freedom comes from no longer being tied down by what others think. Because when you are clear on your own values and what really matters to you, it becomes easier to ignore the noise around you. Ask yourself this question: does this decision align with my values? If the answer is yes, then move forward no matter what others think, say, or judge. You also need to accept one simple truth: you cannot please everyone. No matter what you do, no matter how well you try, there will always be someone who disagrees, someone who doesn't like it, and that's perfectly normal. Instead of wasting energy trying to please everyone, focus on living true to yourself. Let's imagine a real-life example. Say you're working in finance, a stable job, good income, but deep down you know photography is what makes you feel alive. You start thinking about quitting your office job to pursue your creative passion. And then what happens? Family and friends start to speak up. Are you crazy? How can you make a living with that? Photography is just a hobby, don't give up a good job for it. It's easy to feel discouraged, right? When the people who matter most to you don't support your dream, it's natural to feel confused and lost. But the Stoic mindset reminds you of this. You can't control their opinions. What you can control is your dedication and your effort. If photography is what makes you happy, what makes you want to get up early and work hard, then their opinions don't define your value. What matters is that you're walking your own path, living by your values, and doing what you believe is right. When you let go of the obsession with others' opinions, you'll notice many positive changes begin to happen. First, you'll become more confident. You'll stop second-guessing yourself and start trusting your own judgment. You'll make decisions based on what you believe is right, not on how you think others will react. Second, you'll feel freer. No more chasing other people's expectations. No more trying to fit in or prove anything. You're living your life on your terms. Third, you'll feel less stressed. Let's be honest, worrying about what others think of you is exhausting. When you stop caring about that, you'll feel a kind of relief you've never experienced before. Fourth, your relationships will improve. Because when you stop seeking approval, you become more authentic. You no longer have to force yourself to be the version of you that others expect. And as a result, you'll attract people who appreciate the real you, not the image you're trying to create. But no matter how well you focus on your actions, criticism will still show up. Let's be realistic. People will always have something to say. So how do you handle criticism without letting it hurt you? The Stoics would remind you, separate feedback from your ego. If the criticism is valid, treat it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Ask yourself, is there something I can improve here? If the answer is yes, great. Adjust and keep going. But if the criticism is just empty negativity, baseless judgment, or uninformed opinions, let it go. Their opinion is just an opinion. It doesn't define the value of your effort, nor does it define your worth. Remember this: you don't have to please everyone. You don't need anyone's approval to know you're doing the right thing. Seeking validation from others is a natural human instinct, but it can also become a dangerous trap. The more you depend on external approval to feel good about yourself, the more you hand over control of your happiness. The Stoics would remind you, seek validation from within, from your actions, your values, and your own sense of what's right and wrong. That is where real strength comes from. The Stoic mindset teaches you that true value lies in the effort you make and the progress you achieve, whether others recognize it or not. Once you let go of the need for approval, you don't just become more confident, you also feel freer. You start looking within yourself for answers, instead of waiting for others to validate you. So, stay true to your actions. Don't let other people's opinions shake your choices. The Stoics emphasize this: your actions are the only thing truly within your control. Other people's opinions? They're not. When you focus on doing the right thing, living by your values, and moving toward your chosen goals, you'll gradually free yourself from the pressure to seek approval. And that's when you'll start to feel true freedom and confidence. So next time you find yourself worrying about what others think, take a deep breath, pause, and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Focus on what you can control, your actions, and you'll see life becomes calmer, more meaningful, and a whole lot lighter. But you know what? To truly walk steadily on the path of growth, you also need to accept another important truth: change. Because the reality is, change is the one thing that never changes. One of the hardest yet most important lessons in Stoicism is learning to embrace change. Change is always happening. It can show up in your personal life, in your career, in your relationships, or even in the way you see yourself. Everything around us is constantly changing. That's the natural law of life. The Stoics believe that instead of resisting or fearing change, we should accept it as an inevitable part of life. Because when you can do this, you'll find yourself feeling less stressed, adapting more easily, and growing no matter what challenges life throws your way. Take a moment to reflect how many things in your life have changed. Maybe you've moved to a new place, started a new job, lost touch with old friends, or faced unexpected challenges. Change is always happening, whether you like it or not. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make of it." His point is, change is inevitable, but how we respond to it is what shapes our experience. When you resist change, you create unnecessary suffering. You fight against reality, hoping things will stay the same, when in truth they never will. But when you embrace change, you open yourself to new opportunities, new possibilities, and new ways to grow. Sure, it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. So, how can you embrace change more calmly? The Stoic approach is to recognize that everything in life is temporary. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb people, but their judgments about those events." Meaning, it's your perspective on change that shapes your feelings, not the change itself. If you see change as something scary, full of risk, you'll feel anxious and resist it. But if you see change as a natural part of life, as a chance to learn and discover new things, you'll approach it with more calm and flexibility. For example, let's say you're in a job you love. Everything seems fine. But suddenly, the company goes through layoffs and you lose your position. If you resist this change, you might feel angry, frustrated, even helpless. You might find yourself stuck in the question, why is this happening to me? But the Stoic mindset would encourage you to accept the reality, focus on what you can control, and start looking for new opportunities. Yes, it's disappointing, but it could also be a chance for something new, to enter your life, a different job, a new skill, or even a path you'd never considered before. I get it, this isn't easy, especially when change comes unexpectedly or feels out of your control. Some changes hit like a storm, sudden, powerful, and sometimes turning everything you know upside down. But you know what? There are ways to train yourself to become more flexible, more open to the shifts life throws at you. First, accept that change is natural. Change is an inseparable part of the human experience. Once you truly understand that nothing lasts forever, that everything is in constant motion and transformation, you'll find it easier to go with the flow rather than fight against it. Next, focus on what you can control. When an unexpected change happens, pause and ask yourself, what is within my control here? Maybe you can't control a relationship ending, or not getting the promotion you were hoping for, but you can control how you respond, how you learn from the situation, and what you choose to do next. Remember, your energy is best spent on what you can do, not on what you can't change. Another powerful tip: shift your perspective. See change as an opportunity. Instead of viewing change as something that ruins your life, try to see it as a chance to grow. Ask yourself, how can I use this change to improve myself or my situation? This mindset shift will help you see the positive side even in the most difficult changes. For example, imagine you have to move to a new city for work. You've built a life in your current city. You have friends, daily routines, and your favorite hangout spots. Now you have to leave it all behind. It's natural to feel sad, anxious, or even lost. Who wouldn't feel a bit uneasy standing at the threshold of a big change? But instead of resisting the move and focusing on what you're losing, the Stoic approach would encourage you to embrace the change and look ahead. Maybe moving to a new city means new experiences, new friendships, and new opportunities waiting for you. By focusing on the possibilities that change brings, you allow yourself to adapt and grow in a new environment. Instead of clinging to the past, you open yourself up to what lies ahead. When you learn to embrace change rather than fear it, you'll discover that life becomes not just easier to manage, but even more exciting. First, you'll feel less stressed. You're no longer wasting energy trying to keep everything the same. Instead, you start flowing with the natural changes of life. Second, you'll become more adaptable. You'll be more open to new experiences, and this makes it easier for you to handle unexpected situations with grace. Third, you'll build greater resilience. Each time you adapt to a change, you're training yourself to develop mental and emotional toughness. You'll grow stronger, more prepared to face whatever comes your way. And finally, you'll unlock new opportunities. When you embrace change, you start discovering new doors that you might never have seen before. What first appears to be a loss may actually turn out to be a turning point, leading you to something better, something more beautiful. But there's one more important point to emphasize: overcoming the fear of uncertainty. One of the biggest reasons people fear change is because it brings uncertainty. We like to know what's coming. We crave the safety of having everything under control. But what's the truth? The Stoics remind us that certainty is an illusion. Life is inherently uncertain, whether we realize it or not. The future is unpredictable, and trying to control every little detail only exhausts you. So remember, no one knows everything in advance, and that's part of life. Instead of trying to hold on to everything tightly, learn to let go, adapt, and find something new in each shift that comes your way. The Stoics don't tell us to expect the worst. Instead, they encourage us to be prepared for anything. It's not pessimism, it's realistic preparation. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties show a person's true character." In other words, it's change and uncertainty that reveal how strong and steady you really are. When you face uncertainty with calm and readiness, you're building confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out and adapt. But to do that, you need to learn how to let go of the past. One reason many people struggle with change is because they cling to the past. It might be a job you loved, a relationship that once made you happy, or a chapter in your life where you felt safe and comfortable. But the Stoics remind us that holding on to the past only creates suffering. Everything in life is temporary, and when you keep holding on to what's gone, you're only setting yourself up for disappointment and sadness. Imagine this: if you're constantly dwelling on the good things that happened before, how can you be clear-headed enough to recognize the good things happening right now? The Stoic approach is: appreciate the past for what it gave you, but don't let it stop you from moving forward. Life is always moving forward, and so should you. So when you're standing at the edge of a big change, whether it's losing a job, the end of a relationship, or the beginning of a new chapter in your life, take a deep breath and remember, change is inevitable. It's a natural part of the human journey. When you accept and embrace change, it's as if a weight lifts off your shoulders. You no longer fight against reality. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to control everything. You can learn to flow with life, adapt and grow. And you'll realize that every change, whether you wanted it or not, carries an opportunity for you to grow and improve yourself. So, the next time you face a big change, ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, let it go. Focus on what you can do, and trust that every change brings a new opportunity for you to grow. That's the spirit the Stoics aim for. Live mindfully, accept what comes, and keep moving forward with strength and clarity. And you know what? To truly grow stronger through life's changes and challenges, there's one crucial element we can't overlook: building inner strength through adversity. This is a hard truth in Stoic philosophy, but an important one. Adversity is your greatest teacher. Life will never be smooth 100% of the time, and the Stoics understood this better than anyone. Instead of wishing for an easy path, they taught, welcome difficulties because they are what shape you. Every challenge you face, whether it's a career setback, a breakup, or an unexpected life event, is an opportunity to build inner strength, resilience, and wisdom. It's not your circumstances that matter, but how you respond to those difficult moments. Think about it. When have you grown the most in life? Probably not when everything was easy, but in those moments of struggle, setbacks, and even pain, you learned the most about yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "The obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Put simply, the obstacle itself becomes the path forward. It's by facing challenges that you grow. It's through the struggle that you discover how strong you truly are. The more you confront difficulties head-on, the more resilient and grounded you become. The Stoics have a clear approach. See adversity as an opportunity. Because when hard times come, most people try to avoid them, escape the discomfort as quickly as possible. But the Stoic approach is different. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties reveal a person's character." His point, it's challenges that show you who you are, how strong you are, and how you can rise again after every setback. For example, imagine you're facing a major setback at work. Maybe a project you spent months on suddenly collapses, or you miss out on a big opportunity you had been counting on. It's easy to look at that situation and feel disappointed, frustrated, or even blame yourself. But the Stoics would remind you, don't see this as a failure to avoid. See it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Ask yourself, what didn't go as planned? How can I do things differently next time? How can I use this experience to become stronger? It's within those questions that you'll find the real opportunities for growth. So, how do you build inner strength when facing difficult times? First, acknowledge the challenge. Don't pretend it's not happening, and don't run away from it. Look the adversity straight in the eye, name it, and accept that it's part of life. Next, focus on your response. You can't control everything. That happens, but you can absolutely control how you respond. Ask yourself, how will I act? What attitude will I choose? What mindset will help me move forward? This is where your inner strength shows up the most. Finally, learn from the experience. Every challenge, big or small, carries a lesson. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this situation? Am I seeing myself clearly? Is there something I need to change to grow stronger? Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're going through a tough time financially. Maybe you've lost your job or you're drowning in debt. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, and lost. But the Stoic approach would remind you, don't let financial stress consume you. Focus on what you can control. Where can you cut back on spending? Is there a way to increase your income, like taking on extra work or learning a new skill? What lessons can you take from this phase to better prepare for the future? Financial challenges aren't just something to get through. They're an opportunity to build adaptability, resilience, and emerge from the situation stronger. When you face adversity with the right mindset, you don't just survive, you grow. And you'll start to notice so many positive benefits when you build inner strength during tough times. First, your resilience increases. The more challenges you overcome, the more resilient you become. You learn that you can handle whatever life throws at you, and that builds your confidence for the future. Second, you'll boost your self-confidence. Each time you face and overcome a challenge, you prove to yourself, I can do this. And those small victories stack up, forming an unshakable belief that you're strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. Third, you gain deeper wisdom. Hard experiences teach you lessons no book ever could. You learn about life, about people, about relationships, and most importantly, about yourself. The more challenges you go through, the deeper your thinking becomes, the more fully you see the big picture, and the more you develop the wisdom to navigate life's ups and downs. Fourth, you learn to appreciate the good moments more. Anyone can feel happy when things are going well, but only those who faced hardship truly understand the value of peace and simple joys. When you've tasted struggle, you savor happiness in a deeper, more meaningful way, because you know those moments don't last forever. So when adversity hits, how do you manage your emotional reactions? Because let's be real, anger, frustration, sadness, even fear are natural emotions. The Stoics don't teach you to suppress or deny your feelings. They teach you to manage your response to them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you understand this, you'll find the power to get through difficult times." It's not about denying your feelings. It's about acknowledging them without letting them dictate your actions. For example, if you're angry about something that just happened, don't let that anger push you into impulsive decisions, saying hurtful words or acting recklessly. Take a moment. Breathe deeply. Calm your mind. Reflect on the situation. Then choose to respond with calm and constructive action. That ability to control your emotions is a vital part of building inner strength. Next, remember this. Turning failure into strength is a core Stoic lesson. They believe that every setback is an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This doesn't mean you pretend challenges don't exist or act numb to the pain. It means you use those challenges to shape yourself. Ask yourself, how can this failure make me stronger? What lesson is it teaching me? It pointing me toward a new path I hadn't considered before. For example, let's say you've just gone through a painful breakup. The feelings of loss, emptiness, and loneliness can easily drag you into a spiral of negativity. But if you apply the Stoic perspective, you see this as an opportunity to understand yourself better, to clarify what you truly want in a relationship, and to grow emotionally. When you emerge from that situation, you're no longer the same person. You've become stronger, deeper, and more ready for the next challenges ahead. So remember this: adversity builds strength, not weakness. The Stoics remind us that adversity is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Life will always throw challenges your way, but how you respond is what defines you. Every difficult moment is an opportunity to build inner strength, resilience, and wisdom. So the next time you're facing a tough situation, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is an opportunity for me to grow. Focus on what you can control, learn from the experience, and use it to make yourself stronger. The more adversity you face, the tougher and more capable you become. And now, to continue nurturing that unshakable mindset, let's explore another key quality that the Stoics hold in high regard. Practicing gratitude, even in the toughest times adversity, is the very ground where you cultivate inner strength. And there's a special secret weapon that helps you stay steady when everything feels hard. Gratitude. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? When life is hard, who even thinks about being grateful? But it's precisely in those tough moments that gratitude matters the most. Ask yourself, why is gratitude so powerful, even when life is difficult? Because when you're in a bad place, it's easy for your mind to lock on to the problems you're facing. You feel like it's just you and your struggles, stuck in a loop of negative thinking. But constantly focusing on the problem only makes you more stressed, anxious, and overwhelmed. The Stoics believe that gratitude helps you step back and see the bigger picture. Epictetus once said, "A wise person is not unhappy about what they don't have, but rejoices in what they do have." It sounds simple, but it's incredibly profound, isn't it? It's about appreciating what you have, rather than getting stuck in sadness over what's gone. Even in the worst situations, there's always something to be grateful for. Maybe it's your health, a friend who's willing to listen, or simply the opportunity to learn and grow from the experience. Gratitude doesn't erase the problem, but it helps you see that life still holds good things, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. So how do you practice gratitude in every situation, even in the toughest times? The Stoic approach is clear. Gratitude isn't just for when things are going well, it's especially needed when life gets hard. Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor and Stoic philosopher, had a daily habit of writing in his journal about what he was grateful for even as he faced immense pressure and enormous challenges. He believed that focusing on gratitude helped him stay calm, focus on what truly mattered, and not get swept up in the chaos around him. Imagine this. You're going through a tough phase in your career. Maybe you didn't get the promotion you wanted, or you feel stuck in a job you don't love. It's so easy to spiral into disappointment, frustration, and ask, why is everything going wrong? But from a Stoic perspective, you'd take a step back and ask, what is there in this situation that I can still be grateful for? Maybe you still have a job, while others are struggling to find work. Maybe this is a chance for you to learn a new skill, or pause to reflect on what truly matters to you. When you practice gratitude like this, you shift your focus from what's lacking to what you have. And that shift in perspective can make a big difference in how you handle challenges. So, how do you practice gratitude even when life isn't going your way? Start with the basics. When things get tough, it's so easy to overlook the little things, like having a roof over your head, food on the table, or someone who cares about you. Remember, these basics are always something to be grateful for. When you're struggling to find light in the darkness, remind yourself of the small, simple, yet incredibly important things. Next, turn gratitude into a daily habit. Try starting or ending your day with a simple gratitude exercise. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big or grand. It could be the warmth of your morning coffee, a friend's smile, or simply the fact that you have a healthy body to carry you through the day. Over time, this practice can reshape how your brain works. It helps you focus on the positive, even when life feels hard. Give it a try. Every day, spend a few minutes writing down what you're grateful for. At first, it might feel a bit forced, but stick with it. Gradually, you'll realize that gratitude is one of the most powerful mental tools to keep your mind steady through life's storms. Remember, challenges often hold hidden lessons. Maybe it's a lesson in patience, resilience, or a completely new perspective you hadn't seen before. Gratitude doesn't mean you have to be happy about problems or pain. It's not pretending that everything is fine. It's about recognizing and appreciating the growth that challenges bring you. Imagine, for instance, that you've just gone through a personal loss like the end of a relationship or the passing of a loved one. Of course, it's incredibly hard to find gratitude in moments of deep sadness. But the Stoics would encourage you to pause, reflect and ask, what good did this relationship bring me? What did I learn from this person? What memories did we share? Instead of letting the pain consume your entire mind, you can choose to focus on the beautiful memories, the meaningful lessons, and the positive impact this person had on your life. For example, if you've lost a loved one, practice gratitude by recalling the moments you shared, the laughter, the valuable advice, the warm hugs. You can be grateful for the love they gave you, for how they helped shape who you are today. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain, but it helps you find peace, knowing that even though they're no longer here, their influence continues to live on, in your heart, in your actions, and in your choices every day. So, what are the benefits of practicing gratitude, especially when life gets tough? First, gratitude improves your mental health. When you focus on the positive, you reduce stress, anxiety, and even depression. Gratitude shifts your mindset from negative to positive, making it easier to get through hard times. Second, it boosts your resilience. People who practice gratitude become stronger in the face of adversity. You learn to see the good even in the worst situations, and that's what makes you stronger. Third, it strengthens your relationships. Gratitude isn't just about appreciating material things, it's about valuing the people around you. When you express gratitude, you build deeper connections with others, even during tough times. Fourth, it cultivates optimism. Gratitude helps you maintain a positive outlook, even when life isn't perfect. You start to see challenges as opportunities for growth and appreciate each small victory along your journey. But let's be honest, practicing gratitude isn't always easy. Especially during difficult times, letting go of negative thoughts can feel like the hardest thing to do. Think about it. When you're struggling, it's so easy to get caught up in self-blame, resentment, or regret over what's been lost. But the Stoics would remind you that's a waste of your precious energy. You cannot change the past, and you cannot always control the situation. However, you can always control how you perceive the problem. For example, if you're facing financial difficulties, you might feel pressured because you can't afford everything you want. You might become obsessed with what you've lost or the limits you're facing. But if you apply the Stoic mindset, you'll pause and ask yourself, what do I still have to be grateful for? Maybe you still have your health, your family, by your side, or simply the strength to work, to find a way forward. When you let go of negative thoughts and focus on the good things that still exist, you open up space in your mind for hope, for creativity, and for a fresh start. Gratitude doesn't erase difficulties, but it helps you see the light in the darkness, helping you move forward with faith and strength. You know, whether a day goes wonderfully or is filled with struggles, there's always something to be grateful for. The Stoics believe that by practicing gratitude regularly, you are training your mind to focus on the good, even when life isn't easy. For instance, the next time you feel frustrated, worried, or stressed, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is still going well in my life right now? It could be a friend who listens and supports you. It could be the clear blue sky and gentle sunshine today, or simply the fact that you just completed a task, no matter how small, that makes you feel proud. By practicing gratitude consistently, you're building a positive mindset, a habit that helps you stay resilient and optimistic no matter what happens. Remember, gratitude doesn't mean denying difficulties or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to see the good among the challenges and appreciating it. To wrap up this part, the Stoics want to remind us gratitude is a superpower, especially in tough times. They teach us that gratitude isn't just for happy moments, it's for every moment, even the darkest ones. Even when life feels chaotic, there is always something to be grateful for. And when you practice gratitude, you maintain your calm, positivity, and resilience through life's storms. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you open the door to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. So the next time you face a challenge, pause for a moment and ask, what do I still have to appreciate right now? It might be a valuable lesson, a cherished companion, or simply the fact that you are still trying every day. Practice gratitude, even in the hardest moments. You'll find that life becomes lighter, brighter, and far more meaningful. And once you understand the power of gratitude, we'll move on to another important lesson in Stoic philosophy: how to control your response instead of letting external circumstances control you. Because, as the Stoics teach, you can't control everything that happens, but you can always control how you respond. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic, and the clock is ticking closer to the start of an important meeting. The cars are inching forward, and you start to feel annoyed and frustrated. But the reality is, there's nothing you can do to make the traffic move faster. So how will you choose to respond? You could sit there fuming and stressed, or you could take a deep breath, accept the situation, and use this time to relax, plan for your meeting, or simply listen to a favorite song. The traffic is out of your control, but your response is entirely up to you. So how do you train this skill of controlling your response? This is a skill, not an inborn trait, and it needs daily practice. Start by pausing before you react. When something happens that triggers an impulsive reaction or strong emotions, take a moment to pause. Breathe deeply. This pause allows you to step back from the immediate reflex and think more clearly. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, there's no need to let it take over your emotions. If the answer is yes, then focus on what you can do. Another way to train is to reframe how you view the situation. When you encounter a challenge, try thinking, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "This is just a part of life, not my entire life." Changing your perspective helps you reduce negative feelings and create space for calm and clarity. Let's look at a concrete example. You're at work and you receive harsh feedback from your boss. Your first reaction might be defensive, hurt, or even angry. But applying the Stoic mindset, you pause and ask, "Can I control how others give feedback?" The answer is no. You can't control their words or attitude. What you can control is how you respond. Instead of reacting immediately, you can calmly assess whether the feedback has value. If it does, learn from it and improve. If it doesn't, simply let it go and don't let it affect your mood. This way, you maintain control over your emotions and your thinking. As you practice controlling your reactions, you'll notice incredible positive changes in your life. First, you'll feel less stressed. You'll no longer get swept up in things beyond your control, leading to a greater sense of peace within. Second, your relationships will improve. When you don't react impulsively based on emotion, you'll avoid unnecessary tension in communication. This helps your relationships become healthier and more sustainable. Third, you'll build resilience. When you can manage your reactions, you become stronger in the face of challenges. You learn how to handle setbacks calmly and keep moving forward, no matter what happens. Fourth, you'll gain a stronger sense of control over your life. Knowing that you can choose how to respond to any situation gives you confidence and a true sense of freedom. You're no longer a victim of circumstances, you're the one steering your own story. However, to control your reactions better, you also need to let go of the need to control everything. This is a key lesson the Stoics emphasize. We often have a tendency to want everything to go our way. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel angry, disappointed, or worried. But think about it. How many times have you felt exhausted and stressed because you tried to control things that simply weren't in your control? The Stoics remind us that trying to control everything is a losing battle. The more you try to control what isn't yours to control, the more likely you are to feel frustrated and stressed. Instead, focus on what you can control: your reactions, your thoughts, and your actions. When you view reality with clear eyes, you'll feel much lighter. And once you start understanding how to control your reactions, it's time to move on to another important Stoic principle: learning to distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. Imagine you're planning an important event. Everything is set. Guests invited, venue booked, nearly perfect arrangements, but suddenly bad weather hits, or a key guest cancels at the last minute. It's easy to fall into frustration, anger, or even feel like giving up entirely. But this is exactly when you can apply the Stoic mindset. Accept that some things are outside of your control. You can't control the weather, nor can you force someone to attend. Instead of letting the situation ruin your whole day, ask yourself, what can I do to make the most of this situation? By letting go of the need to control everything, you'll feel lighter and can focus your energy on what you can do right now. This is how Stoicism helps you free yourself from unnecessary stress. Another important step is learning how to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting emotionally. Imagine this. When someone says something that makes you upset, your natural reaction might be to get angry, to snap back immediately. But if you pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, does this reaction help? Can I choose a better way to respond? That moment of pause is the key to controlling your emotions and your response. A reaction is a natural reflex, like when you touch something hot and instantly pull your hand back. But a response, or a deliberate reaction, is a conscious action. It's when you take the time to assess the situation before deciding how to act. For example, imagine you're driving down the road and someone suddenly cuts in front of you. Your first reaction might be to get angry, honk the horn, or even shout. But if you pause for a moment, you'll realize that getting angry doesn't help. They've already gone, and you still have a journey ahead. You can choose to let go of the anger, focus on driving safely, and continue your day without letting negative emotions take over. So, the important thing is to learn how to pause before reacting. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, think carefully about the most wise and reasonable way to respond. Controlling your reaction not only helps reduce stress, but also brings many other positive benefits. First, you will feel more peaceful, because you no longer exhaust yourself trying to control things that are simply beyond your control. Second, your relationships will improve. When you respond calmly and thoughtfully, you minimize the risk of hurting others or creating unnecessary conflict. Third, you become more resilient. When you get used to controlling your reaction, you'll notice you handle difficult situations more smoothly, and each time you grow stronger and wiser. Finally, you'll feel a stronger sense of agency in your life. You're no longer a victim of circumstances, but someone who actively chooses how to live and how to face whatever comes your way. However, to control your reaction well, you also need to learn to let go of the need to control everything. This is a common trap. We want everything to go our way, and when it doesn't, we get angry, frustrated, or even feel helpless. But the truth is, the more you try to control what cannot be controlled, the more exhausted you become. The Stoics remind us, focus on what you can do. That's how you react, the attitude you bring, the effort you make every day. The rest, let life unfold on its own. And when you understand this clearly, it's time to move on to another important lesson that the Stoics always emphasize: maintaining humility and avoiding the trap of the ego. The Stoic way: stay humble. The Stoics believe that no matter how much success you achieve, you still need to stay humble. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful people in the world at the time, was the Roman emperor, but he never let his position overshadow his humility. In meditations, he regularly reminded himself of the fleeting nature of fame, power, and that even the greatest leaders are just human beings who can make mistakes and always need to learn. Marcus once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of the precious privilege you have to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." For the Stoics, humility is not about lowering yourself or denying your worth, but about thinking less about yourself. It means focusing on what truly matters: your actions, your integrity, and the way you live according to your values, not your reputation, recognition, or the approval of others. How can you stay humble and avoid the trap of the ego? Staying humble is a lifelong journey, especially in today's world, where everyone is caught up in building a personal image and seeking attention. Here are some ways you can start. First, keep learning. One of the best ways to stay humble is to remind yourself that no matter how good you are, you don't know everything. There's always something new to explore, to learn, to improve. When you stay curious, you open yourself up to new ideas, different perspectives, and valuable lessons from those around you. Second, listen more than you speak. Humility starts with knowing how to listen, not always needing to be the one in control of the conversation or insisting you're right. Give others space to express their opinions. Who knows? You might learn something new you never thought of before. And even if you don't, listening is still a clear sign of respect and humility. Third, accept feedback. The ego often reacts defensively to criticism, but humility embraces it. When someone gives you constructive feedback, instead of getting angry or dismissing it, see it as an opportunity to improve. Yes, feedback isn't always easy to hear, but it's a mirror that helps you reflect on yourself and find areas to grow. Practical example: avoiding the ego trap in the workplace. Let's say you've just been promoted to a management position and now you're leading a team. It's easy for the ego to creep in, making you think you know more than everyone else, and there's no need to listen to anyone. But when you let the ego take over, you risk ignoring valuable opinions, making poor decisions, and unintentionally creating a tense work environment where people feel disrespected. The Stoic approach would remind you that even as a leader, you don't have all the answers. Listen to your team. Encourage everyone to share their ideas and learn from them, just as they can learn from you. This humility is what makes you a truly respected leader, someone who not only gives orders, but also inspires and supports the team to grow. The benefits of staying humble. When you practice humility and manage your ego, you'll see your life change in many positive ways. First, you'll grow stronger as an individual. Humility keeps you open to learning and personal development. When you recognize that you don't know everything, you're more willing to seek knowledge, hone your skills, and embrace new experiences. Second, you'll earn genuine respect from others. Humble people don't need to seek attention, because the way they carry themselves naturally inspires trust and true leadership qualities. Third, you'll avoid the mistakes caused by the ego. When you're not obsessed with self-importance, you're less likely to make impulsive decisions, take reckless risks, or get into situations that cost you dearly just to satisfy momentary pride. Fourth, you'll build healthier relationships. Humility helps you listen, respect, and empathize with others instead of just focusing on yourself. And most importantly, humility helps you maintain a strong, calm, and lifelong learning mindset. So next time you feel the ego pulling you into a race for status or validation, stop and ask yourself, am I doing this to serve true values, or just to feed my ego? How to stay humble and avoid the trap of the ego. Maintaining humility is a lifelong journey, especially in today's world, where everyone seems caught up in building personal brands and seeking attention. Here are a few ways you can start. First, keep learning. One of the best ways to stay humble is to remind yourself that no matter how skilled you are, you don't know everything. There's always something new to discover, to learn, to improve. When you stay curious, you open your mind to new ideas, different perspectives, and valuable lessons from those around you. Second, listen more than you speak. Humility begins with the ability to listen, not always needing to control the conversation or insist that you're right. Give others space to express their views. Who knows, you might learn something new you never considered before. And even if you don't, simply listening is a clear sign of respect and humility. Third, accept feedback. The ego often reacts with defensiveness to criticism, but humility embraces it. When someone offers constructive feedback, instead of getting angry or dismissing it, see it as an opportunity to improve yourself. Sure, feedback can be hard to hear at times, but it's a mirror that helps you reflect on yourself and find areas for growth. A real-life example: avoiding ego in the workplace. Imagine you've just been promoted to a management position and are now leading a team. It's easy for the ego to start taking over, making you think you know more than everyone else, that you don't need to listen to others. But when ego takes control, you risk missing out on valuable insights, making poor decisions, and unintentionally creating a tense work environment where team members feel disrespected. The Stoic approach would be to remind yourself that even in a leadership position, you don't have all the answers. Listen to your team. Encourage them to share their ideas and learn from them just as they can learn from you. This humility is what makes you a truly respected leader, someone who doesn't just command, but inspires and supports the team to grow. The benefits of practicing humility. When you practice humility and keep the ego in check, you'll see your life transform in many positive ways. First, you develop stronger personal growth. Humility keeps you open to learning and development. When you acknowledge that you don't know everything, you're more likely to seek knowledge, improve your skills, and embrace new experiences. Second, you earn genuine respect from others. Humble people don't need to try to grab attention, because the way they conduct themselves naturally earns trust and true leadership qualities. Third, you avoid mistakes caused by ego. When you're not blinded by arrogance, you're less likely to make impulsive decisions, take unnecessary risks, or fall into situations that cost you dearly just to satisfy temporary pride. Fourth, you build healthier relationships. Humility helps you listen, respect, and empathize with others rather than focusing solely on yourself. Most importantly, humility keeps your mind steady, calm, and ready for lifelong learning. So next time you feel your ego pulling you into a race for recognition or competition, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this to serve my true values or just to feed my ego? Second, stronger relationships. People are often drawn to those who are humble because humility creates space for others to shine. When you're not constantly seeking attention or craving recognition, you are more present in relationships. You listen sincerely, genuinely care, and others can feel that. Who doesn't appreciate a friend, colleague, or family member who listens and respects their opinions, right? Third, wiser decisions. Ego can cloud judgment, pushing you into impulsive, risky choices. But when you stay humble, you keep a clearer mind, know when to step back, consider multiple perspectives, and make better decisions. A humble person understands that they're not always right and is open to hearing other views before taking action. Fourth, greater resilience. When you cultivate humility, you also build mental resilience. Ego shatters when things don't go your way. It makes you angry, frustrated, or even give up. But humility helps you face failure, learn from it, and rise stronger. Handling praise and success. One of the hardest times to maintain humility is when you're at the peak of success. You've achieved a major milestone in your career, received a prestigious award, or are getting praised by many people. The ego can easily swell, making you think you've arrived and have nothing left to learn. But Stoics remind us that success is temporary and you can't let it cloud your judgment. Imagine you've just received a prestigious award. Sure, you should enjoy the moment, but also remember that fame is fleeting. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself that applause will eventually fade, and what truly matters isn't recognition, but whether you're living in alignment with your values. Keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Are you living a life of integrity, working hard and continually striving to improve each day, letting go of the need for validation? Another subtle trap of the ego is the constant desire for external validation. Have you ever felt like you need more likes on social media, more praise at work, or more attention from friends? Ego constantly whispers in your ear that you're only worthy if others notice you. But Stoics remind us that true worth comes from within. Epictetus once said, "The essence of the fool is to think themselves wise, while the wise recognize their own ignorance." In other words, truly wise people always know they have more to learn and don't let their self-worth hinge on others' recognition. When you let go of the need for constant validation, you free yourself from emotional highs and lows. Instead, you focus on your personal growth, on living in alignment with your values, and on the journey you're on, not the opinions of others. Conclusion: humility is strength, not weakness. In a world that glorifies ego, celebrates standing out, and self-promotion, Stoics remind us that true strength comes from humility. When you stay humble, you stay clear-headed, open to learning, and focused on what truly matters: your actions, your character, and your personal growth. Ego may bring temporary excitement, but it is fragile and fleeting. Humility, on the other hand, brings lasting success, genuine respect from others, and most importantly, peace of mind. So the next time you feel yourself seeking validation or feeling superior to others, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, stay humble, stay clear-minded. When you let go of your ego, you open yourself to a more meaningful life, deeper relationships, and a stronger spirit in the face of any challenge. We live in a society that values instant gratification. Fast food, same-day delivery, instant messaging, and immediate responses. But the Stoics understand that the truly meaningful and lasting things in life don't happen overnight. They take time, require persistence, and above all, demand patience. Think about it. Have you ever achieved a major goal or accomplishment in life overnight? Most likely not. Anyone who has ever learned a new skill, built a career, developed a deep relationship, or even trained their body knows that results don't come instantly. They come from steady effort, step by step, over days, months, even years. The Stoics believe that patience is one of the key virtues for living a meaningful and fulfilled life. Without patience, you're more likely to feel disappointed, to give up when things get tough, or even to settle for less than what you're capable of. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." He meant that life isn't always graceful or easy. It requires you to stay strong, to face challenges, delays, and unexpected setbacks head-on. Patience allows you to stick with your goals, even when progress feels slow. It helps you understand that the steady, repetitive process each day is the most important part, not just the final outcome. So how do you cultivate patience in a fast-paced world? First, embrace the process rather than focusing solely on results. The Stoics teach that happiness and growth come from enjoying each step of the journey, whether you're learning, working, or developing a new skill. Don't just look forward to the end. Learn to appreciate each small effort you make along the way. Second, set long-term goals. When you have a bigger vision, you're less likely to get distracted by short-term rewards or instant disappointments. Set goals that align with your core values and remind yourself that meaningful progress takes time. For example, if you want to become healthier, don't expect rapid weight loss in just a few weeks. Focus on creating healthy habits every day and trust that results will follow. Third, endure and persist in your pursuits. The Stoics have a beautiful concept, endurance. They believe that accepting difficulties, moving forward even when tired or discouraged, is how you build strength and resilience. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I will answer that it takes time. First, it must blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." A beautiful image, right? Everything valuable in life needs time to bloom. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're working to improve your fitness. You're going to the gym, eating, healthy, but after a few weeks, the scale hasn't budged much, and your muscles aren't showing yet. This is the moment when patience is truly tested. Without patience, you might give up, thinking your efforts are useless. But if you adopt the Stoic mindset, you'll remind yourself that progress takes time, and your job is simply to do the right things each day. Patience keeps you moving forward, even when the results aren't immediate. When you let go of your ego, you open yourself up to a more meaningful life, deeper relationships, and a stronger spirit to face any challenge. We live in a society that values instant gratification, fast food, same-day delivery, instant messaging, and replies. But the Stoics knew that the things that truly matter and endure in life don't come instantly. They take time, they take effort, and most importantly, they require patience. Think about it. Have you ever achieved any major goal or accomplishment overnight? Probably not. Anyone who has ever learned a new skill, built a career, developed a deep relationship, or even improved their physical fitness knows that results don't come overnight. They come from consistent effort, step by step, over days, months, even years. The Stoics believed that patience is one of the key virtues for living a meaningful and fulfilling life. Without patience, you easily become frustrated, give up when things get hard, or settle for less than you're capable of. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." He meant that life isn't always smooth or easy. It demands that you stand firm, ready to face challenges, delays, and unexpected failures. Patience allows you to stick with your goals, even when progress seems slow. It helps you understand that the steady, repeated effort each day is what truly matters, not just the final outcome. So, how do you practice patience in a fast-paced world? First, embrace the process instead of focusing solely on the result. The Stoics taught that happiness and growth come from appreciating each step of the journey, whether you're learning, working, or building a new skill. Don't just wait for the finish line. Learn to enjoy each small effort you make every day. Second, set long-term goals. When you have a bigger vision, you're less likely to get distracted by short-term rewards or feel disappointed by immediate setbacks. Set goals that align with your core values and remind yourself that progress takes time. For example, if you want to become healthier, don't expect to lose weight overnight. Focus on building healthy habits day by day, trusting that the results will come. Third, endure and persevere through your goals. The Stoics had a great concept: endurance. They believed that accepting difficulties and persisting even when tired or discouraged is how you build strength and resilience. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me you desire a fig, I answer that it takes time. It must first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." A beautiful image, isn't it? All things of value in life take time to flourish. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're trying to improve your fitness. You go to the gym, eat healthy, but after a few weeks, your weight hasn't changed much. Your muscles don't look noticeably stronger. This is when patience is tested. Without patience, you might quit, thinking your effort is pointless. But if you understand the Stoic mindset, you'll remind yourself that progress takes time, and all you need to do is keep doing the right thing each day. Patience helps you keep going, even when results aren't immediate. So how do you stay patient in today's fast-paced world? Start by lowering the expectation that everything must happen quickly. Set realistic milestones and accept that sometimes things won't go as planned. When you feel impatient, ask yourself, do I really need this to happen immediately? Or can I be patient and let things unfold at their natural pace? Practice waiting intentionally. For example, when you're in a long line or waiting for an important email, instead of getting restless, see it as an opportunity to take a deep breath, observe your surroundings, or even practice patience. And finally, remember that patience isn't passive endurance. It's an active acceptance that good things take time. Conclusion: patience is the foundation of all lasting achievements. In a world that's always rushing, the Stoics remind us that the best things in life never come quickly. They require persistence, daily effort, and a commitment to the long game. So, the next time you feel impatient because you haven't reached your goal yet, pause and remind yourself, all great things take time. And when you cultivate patience, you not only achieve the results you seek, but you also become a stronger, more resilient, and prouder version of yourself. Think about it. How many times have you felt disappointed, frustrated, or even wanted to give up just because your expectations were too high or unrealistic? Unrealistic expectations are the silent enemy of patience. When you expect results right away, when you expect everything to go perfectly as planned, you're setting yourself up for stress, pressure, and disappointment. The Stoics remind us, be realistic about the time and effort required to reach your goals. Anything of value takes time. Instead of letting expectations blind you, remind yourself that the path to success is never straight or the shortest. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you've just started your career with big dreams, climbing the corporate ladder, or launching a successful startup with a bold idea. It's so easy to lose patience when things don't move as quickly as you'd hoped, when you're passed over for promotions, or when your business grows more slowly than you expected. But the Stoic approach is to embrace the long process. Building a successful career takes time, effort, and especially patience. You won't see immediate results, but each small step you take is adding another brick to the foundation of your future success. Instead of getting impatient or discouraged by delays, focus on what you can control: your work ethic, your skills, and your steady persistence. Trust that results will come at the right time. So, what are the benefits of patience? First, it helps you reduce stress. Lack of patience is a major cause of stress and frustration. When you accept that things take time, you let go of the need for instant results and feel much more at peace. Second, patience increases your resilience. When things don't go according to plan, patience helps you stick to your goals and not quit halfway. You develop the mental strength to handle setbacks and keep moving forward. Third, patience helps you make better decisions. When you're not caught up in the pressure to act quickly, you have the time to think carefully, consider your options, and make decisions that align with your long-term goals. Fourth, patience helps you appreciate more. Instead of rushing to the finish line, you learn to enjoy the journey, to value every small step and every little victory along the way. But practicing patience in a fast-paced world isn't easy. We live in a society where everything is designed to deliver instant gratification: fast food, high-speed internet, quick results. Everything pushes you toward impatience, making it easy to fall into the trap of wanting immediate outcomes. When you let go of the ego, you open yourself up to a more meaningful life, deeper relationships, and a stronger spirit to face any challenge. We live in a society that values instant gratification: fast food, same-day delivery, instant messaging, and immediate replies. But the Stoics deeply understand that the most meaningful and sustainable things in life do not come instantly. They require time, perseverance, and, most importantly, patience. Think about it. Is there any major goal or achievement in your life that you reached overnight? Most likely, no. Anyone who has ever learned a new skill, built a career, developed a deep relationship, or even trained physically knows that results do not come immediately. They come from consistent effort, step by step, over many days, months, or even years. The Stoics believe that patience is one of the key virtues for living a meaningful and fulfilling life. Without patience, you are more likely to feel frustrated, to give up when difficulties arise, or even to settle for something less than you are capable of. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." What he meant is that life is not always smooth or easy. It requires you to be steadfast, ready to face challenges, delays, and unexpected failures. Patience allows you to stick with your goals even when progress seems slow. It helps you understand that the steady, daily effort is what truly matters, not just the final result. So how do you cultivate patience in a fast-paced world? First, embrace the process instead of focusing solely on the result. The Stoics teach that happiness and growth come from enjoying each step of the journey, whether you're learning, working, or developing a new skill. Don't just wait for the final moment, but learn to love each small effort along the way. Second, set long-term goals. When you have a bigger vision, you're less likely to get distracted by short-term rewards or immediate frustrations. Set goals that align with your core values and remind yourself that meaningful progress takes time. For example, if you want to become healthier, don't expect to lose weight overnight. Focus on building healthy habits every day and trust that the results will come. Third, endure and persist in your goals. The Stoics have a beautiful concept: endurance. They believe that accepting difficulties, persevering even when tired or discouraged, is how you develop strength and resilience. Epictetus once said, "Nothing great is created suddenly, just as a bunch of grapes or a fig is not. If you want a fig, I will tell you that it takes time. First, it must blossom, then bear fruit, and then ripen." A beautiful image, isn't it? Everything valuable in life takes time to flourish. A real-life example: imagine you're working on improving your fitness. You go to the gym, eat healthily, but after a few weeks, the weight hasn't dropped much, and the muscles aren't yet defined. This is when patience is truly tested. Without patience, you might give up, thinking your efforts are useless. But if you apply the Stoic mindset, you will remind yourself that all progress takes time, and you only need to keep doing the right thing every day. Patience helps you continue moving forward, even when results don't come immediately. How do you stay patient in this fast-paced world? Start by lowering your expectations that everything must happen quickly. Set realistic milestones and accept that sometimes things won't go as planned. When you feel impatient, ask yourself, do I really need everything to happen right now? Or can I be patient and let things unfold at their natural pace? Practice waiting actively. For example, when standing in a long line or waiting for an important email, instead of getting restless, use it as an opportunity to take deep breaths, observe your surroundings, or even practice patience. And finally, remember that patience is not passive endurance. It is the active choice to stay calm and keep moving forward, even when results have not yet arrived. Conclusion: patience is the foundation of all lasting achievements. In a world that's always rushing, the Stoics remind us that the best things in life never come quickly. They require perseverance, daily effort, and time. So, the next time you feel impatient because you haven't reached your goal yet, Pause and remind yourself, all great things take time, and when you practice patience, you not only achieve what you desire, but also become a stronger, more resilient and wiser version of yourself. The Stoics emphasize that patience is not simply waiting, but the active choice to stay calm and keep going even when results have not yet arrived. They teach that when you learn to embrace the process, persist in your goals, and let go of the need for immediate outcomes, you're building a strong foundation for long-term growth. Remember, life is like a marathon, not a sprint. Big achievements, lasting relationships, or any meaningful success is built over time, with effort and persistence, day after day. So the next time you feel impatient, when you want to give up because progress is slow, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, good things take time. Trust the process, keep moving forward, and know that each small step, each consistent action, brings you closer to your greater goal. With patience, you not only achieve more, but you also truly enjoy the journey. You learn to appreciate each moment, each lesson, and each challenge along the way. Looking back at the path we've explored in this video, you'll see that Stoicism is not just an ancient philosophy, but a practical toolkit to help you live a more fulfilled and meaningful life. Whether it's learning to focus only on what you can control, embracing failure as a necessary part of growth, or cultivating patience in a fast-paced world, the Stoic principles remind you: be steadfast, persevere, and focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Living by Stoic principles doesn't mean you have to be perfect. No one can get everything right all the time. It also doesn't mean you have to become emotionless or indifferent to the challenges of life. Stoicism teaches you how to master your reactions, focus on what's within your control, and let go of what is beyond your reach. It helps you understand that failure, delays, and even losses are all part of the journey of growth and self-improvement. In this video, we've explored many important topics. Why focusing only on what you can control helps reduce unnecessary stress. Why doing your best but letting go of the outcome is the only way to maintain peace of mind. The power of self-discipline and patience in achieving long-term success. Why failure is not the end, but a stepping stone to becoming stronger. How to control your reactions to regain control of your life. The value of humility, gratitude, and embracing change as a natural part of life. The truth is, life will constantly throw challenges at you, but with Stoic philosophy, you will learn to face them with courage, calmness, and wisdom. Instead of being overwhelmed by things you can't control, you'll focus on what matters most: your actions, your character, and your mindset. That's the real power you have. If you found value in this episode, don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread the wisdom of Stoicism so that each of us can live a stronger, more resilient, and more meaningful life. And remember to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future episodes, where we'll continue exploring practical and profound ways to apply this timeless philosophy to our daily lives. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. And remember, true strength is not in controlling everything around you, but in mastering yourself.